Hello, welcome on my channel. It's been a very long time since I last made a video in English, but I did feel like doing a VR today, something that I've been wanting to do for a while, but I never came up with quite the right answers. But now I feel like I came up with something that I'm satisfied with. So the tag is Deconstructing My Tarot Collection. It was proposed by the lovely Aunty K's Tarot, and you should check out this channel. We are gonna have a look at what part of my different decks I would keep to kind of make the ultimate tarot deck with everything I love in my favorite decks. That's how I understand this tag. The first question is, what are my favorite card cards as a set? And this would be the Fifth Spirit Tarot card cards that I'm in love with. I'm actually showing you now the mass market version because I lent my indie version to a friend, but my favorite cards would be the original version of the indie Fifth Spirit Tarot. I love those, but I'm not so much a fan of the changes. I did love the original linen version better, but that's all I have here, so that's what I'm showing to you right now. So second one is my favorite aces. That's a bit funny because I mean not funny, but it's probably a bit unusual because my favorite aces would be aces that are very embodied, whether in human form or in more than human or non-human forms, but I want them to be embodied. And sometimes we get the feeling of something really transcendental, like the aces seems to be coming from the heavens, given by your hand, suspended in thin air. That's not my understanding of the aces. So I went first with Thea's Tarot. I love them. They are so joyfully embodied. What can I say? That's all I want to see in an ace. And in most decks, I really miss this. Yes, just this embodied, like fleshy, like living aspect of the aces. Just because they are potential doesn't mean that they need to come out of thin air. And because I'm going to be cheating all the way, this is my second choice for this question. It's the Next World Tarot. I do love this same kind of anchored, rooted aspect of the aces, even though it's not in a human shape. Even, you know, like the wands and the swords feel very, very rooted, and that's the kind of aces that I want to see. I actually even have another choice. It's the Outgrow Tarot, Outgrow Yourself Tarot and Oracle. And yeah, with the same argument that I like that there's something very incarnated, embodied in those cards. My favorite peeps. As of today, I would have to say that the peep cards that I love the most are from the Hollow Valley Tarot. I would say that they are kind of peepish because they are a collection of symbols organized in a meaningful way, but they are not so much scenic or like pictorial or something. It's more like an adjustment, an arrangement, an assemblage of symbols. Actually, there's a sigil behind every card, so I don't know if everybody would regard them as peepish, but it's peepish enough for me. And yeah, I've been using them for about a year, and this deck, the Hollow Valley Tarot, became one of my favorite decks, and I really love those pips. Kind of peepish as well. I want to make a special mention today because I'm using it at the moment for my Wild Unknown Tarot. I'm actually quite fond of this one because it is the deck that I learned with, and we fall in and out of love every now and then, but I like to find my way back to it. They still like speak to me, they really do. Okay, next is my favorite majors. I'm gonna go with the Fifth Spirit Tarot again. Why? I guess because it's very richly symbolic, and it brings me a lot to work with, analyze, have flashes, intuitive flashes with. It's a perfect combination of complexity and also immediacy or spontaneity in the way that you read tarot with it. So it would have to be the Fifth Spirit Tarot. And I have a special mention here for the Rainbow Tarot. Actually, as I was walking through this deck earlier today and watching all those beautiful cards, I was like, but actually I'm getting fonder and fonder, can you say that, more and more affectionate for this deck as our relationship grows. And yeah, I just have to say that it made me want to make this video, this VR today. And I don't know, at this moment right now, I have to say I'm really attracted to this deck, and it's really bringing me something. It's making me something. And I don't like the Tarot de Marseille, but for this one I really like the titles in French and the mix between Marseille and something a bit more Waitsmithy. I don't know. There's something there that as I keep working with it, yeah, I grow. There's something growing between this tarot deck and me, and especially the major arcana. As a deck that's very close to the standard traditional Marseille or Waitsmith decks, this one is definitely going to be, it's I don't know, it's a one of a kind. Let's look at the cat on the empress, I mean. So pretty. Okay, favorite tarot cards back. I don't care for the backs. I really don't give a shit about it. Really, it doesn't matter to me. But yeah, of course, when they are really pretty, I'm very happy about it. And when they are really crappy, I'm also like, come on, make an effort here. But this is nothing major for me, so I'm just gonna say that I love the collection here of little symbols with the Rainbow Tarot. How cute is that? I love the colors. Obviously, it's a very nice one. Would I say it's my favorite? Probably not, but I don't have a favorite, I just like it. I would also mention the Next World Tarot, very special. This would be also a contender. And then we have, where did I put it? Oh, here. The Queer Tarot. Once again, it's colorful, kind of funky. There's something there that really works for me. Psychedelic aspects of things, I guess. It works really well. My favorite deck containers. They would have to be the bags that my butch makes for me. Like this one for the Gentle Tarot. I have to say I'm showing very little of the Gentle Tarot because it's complete as a whole and I don't really feel like taking bits of it to take it here. But yeah, to come back to the containers, I wasn't a big fan of bags to start with, but as my butch kept making some very, very beautiful bags for me, I grew very fond of them. And yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna insert more picture, but it's definitely something really nice, and I'm gonna show you my wife. As you can see, maybe not, she is, wait, come back. She is actually doing everything by hand. She doesn't use a machine, and I don't know, there's something very, very strong in her bags. And yeah. Because I do travel a lot with my decks, I bring them everywhere with me, and especially in nature, it's very nice for me to be having them in a bag. So my wife's bags are the answer here. favorite guidebook has to be the lovely Guidebook, which is a book actually that you could, I don't know if you still can, buy apart from the Fifth Spirit Tarot deck. And it's intelligent, there's a lot to work with, it's really bringing something inclusive, non-binary, queer, and also very, I don't know, rich. You know, like there are a lot of ideas, sometimes a bit academic, but also very poetic. I like everything about it, I have to say. So yeah, it's my favorite one. The tricky cards now, what are those cards that we often struggle with, or at least the depictions in those cards? What are the ones that I really love? We had two options. The first one was for the Empress, and I have to say that I really love this renamed Empress, and the picture that comes with it is in the Slow Holler Tarot, and it's called the Kindred. I really love this idea of kinship coming with the Empress, and also kinship as more than human. And here you have the animals, and you can feel the presence of humans because there's a kitchen, but there's also water and flowers, and everything seems to be intertwined, interconnected, and in relationship. And so the Kindred would have to be my favorite Empress card. Actually, the Empress is not a tricky card for me anymore. Over time, it used to be, as a femme, as a queer femme, it used to be like really difficult for me to come to terms with this card. But now I have to say it's one of my favorite cards, probably my favorite card. It's the one that I identify the more strongly with. And with all the decks that we have now that are more, I don't want to say inclusive, because if you've watched my videos before, you know that I have a problem with this term. If you haven't, I advise you watch my video in English on inclusive tarot decks. But we have more options in terms of depictions and representativity in tarot decks, and I do find a lot of empresses that I love. But when they are like, you know, thin, or just the only fat person in the deck, or exclusively white and sort of passive and pretty, those are not my empresses. But there are many ways to create this card, and well, this is one of them. Anyway, moving on, the other tricky card is the Three of Swords, and that's an easy choice. Actually, I made a video about this card in French, if you understand French, a couple of days ago, or maybe rather a couple of weeks ago, and I talked about this card. So if you understand French and you want to know more, please go ahead and watch it. The links would be down below or here right now. It's the Three of Swords in the Thea's Tarot. What I love about it is the accent on communication, and the breaking of communication could be something that you see as internal or external, and there are many ways to see it. It's a whole spectrum, but I think that the typical heart pierced with swords doesn't allow for the range of this card to express, and I like this depiction that takes a stand on what it could mean. Like there's a sword on the ground between two people, and people are like carrying these heavy swords that they don't know how to use anymore. Like, how am I gonna use my words? Or even if you don't use words to communicate, how am I gonna use my thoughts to articulate how I feel right now? And there's also this feeling of sometimes we grow further and further apart, until sometimes we have the typical pierced hearts, broken hearts, Three of Swords. But it doesn't have to be that tragic. It can also mean the distance that grows between us with other people, with deity, with, it can be anything really. But how do we bridge this distance in communication, or in how we relate? And I like the notion of bridge as well, because bringing together and bridging things and co-creating things is a common theme through the threes in the minor. And sometimes you don't see that so well in the Three of Swords, but I think this one does the work, so would have to be my favorites. I added my own category, my own tricky card here. I have to say that my tricky card is usually the lovers cards. Whenever I see it in a tarot deck, I'm like, can we be a little more original there? Can we see something else than conventional coupley love or something? And also, can we see more than love? Well, even sometimes self-love is interesting, but it doesn't give me all I need to see in this card, and doesn't give me the Gemini energy of this card that I want to see. And I have to say that I do love the card in the Numinous tarot. It's also maybe a bit like the Empress here, insisting on kinship and who you choose as your chosen family. And the notion of choice and love is so well represented in the way that, again, people are interlocking and intercreating and bringing each something to the way that it creates a rainbow of a palette of color and sparkles or whatever. I don't know, I just love this one. It's not one of my favorite decks. I don't use it that much, but this Lovers cards, it needed a shout out for me, I think. Okay, favorite extra cards. It's complicated, isn't it? Oftentimes the extra cards are like you understand why they would make sense for the creator, but you don't really know how to use the deck with it. And I think a lot of us usually keep it in the bag but don't really use it with the deck, so it will be easy for me to say which ones I use and I love. The Unseen in the Gentle Tarot. This is the pocket version, as you can see. The Gentle Tarot is one of my very favorite decks. As I said earlier, I wouldn't be able to pick some parts of it to bring it here to my made-up deck, because every part of it is why it is so wonderful. It needs to work as an entity somehow. But I really wanted to show you this deck, the Unseen. I think as it's called 22, and as a 23rd major corner card, it really worked for me. It really brings something in the dimension of spirit, soul, something that brings it brings the major arcana cards together, I think, in the same way as the Fool does. Not in the same way, but in a function that is as important as a Fool. I'm not going to bring more ideas here. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, think about it. And then I also wanted to mention here the New Chapter Tarot has 2 extra cards. It's Gratitude and Invocation. And again, I think it works well with the deck. It brings something, and yeah. I love the... Sorry, there's no light here. I love the drawing. I love all the 2 keywords. I think they can bring meaning in a reading when you read with this deck. So yeah. Okay, we are done, I think. That was quick. I'm pretty proud of me. Thank you to Aunty K to have created this tag and sharing it with the community. I hope many more people will be doing it, because we see a lot of like collection, organize your deck collection tags, and many of them are just like showing off what you have. But here we have something more meaningful to telling how we have a relationship with our decks and what really speaks to us. I don't know, to me it makes more sense than any of the other tags at this moment, where I'm pretty fed up with the deck collection tags, where I've done a lot, clearly, but at this stage I'm like, oh, I want something else. And this is probably what I was looking for. It makes more sense to me in a way, and I'm pretty happy to have now a new deck that I could be using together. I should give it a try, actually. Thanks for listening. Clearly, I share much more in French, but now the automatic translation is getting better and better with French, so you can still, even if you don't speak French, watch my videos. Okay, bye. Thank you for watching.